I know, right?
Just as I hit record, a beer gets delivered to Mental.
I'm just saying, Mary above your pay grade. Everybody on this screen knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's for sure. All right. Speaking of above our pay grade,
Chrissy just looks confused and annoyed.
Well, welcome to Everyone Racers, a show designed for the world of low-dollar racing and oddball car culture. It doesn't matter what kind of a Lemma Champ or Lucky Track Dog League you run, SCCA or NASA, we won't discriminate, as long as you drive it hard and built it yourself. Join us each week for tech discussions, tips, tricks, news and notes in the world of amateur endurance racing, and whether it's on the spot, hella sweet, or we're lucky enough and Chrissy gives us just the tip, we're sure you'll giggle a little and learn even less. Everyone report to the paddock.
This is Chris.
This is Chrissy.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Mental.
And we are Everyone Racers. Thank you for listening to a Happy Honda Days episode. We also understand if you celebrate Toyotathon, Chevy Truck Month, or even a local tent sale revival, we're inclusive. Just don't put one of those weird Lexuses with a bow in your driveway because they're psychopaths.
No.
Yeah.
Don't buy your spouse a car without discussing it. It's bad.
Great idea. Great idea.
Totally.
Yep.
Unless
Great.
I hit the lottery, my wife has permission to discuss with Chris what kind of Porsche to buy from.
And Chris only, not Mental, because Mental would say just get all of the Porsches.
Right.
I might end up with a 928. That would be terrible.
Right. I know.
You need the 928 that looks like a 59 Ranchero that's in my backyard. There's your car.
Yes.
Oh,
absolutely.
I didn't know such joy. A
see?
Porsche and an El Camino. My God.
Mental's nipples just got hard.
Yeah.
It's a running, driving vehicle, and it is 38 feet long, built on a 928, not just a 928, but a 928 S4, like 450 horsepower.
Stop it.
Oh my God. This is the most mental thing
too
ever.
dark. It's too dark outside me to go to pictures, but this thing's insane. It is a running, driving hat car with a 59 Ranchero hung on top of a Porsche 928 S4.
Well,
how do we move on?
Speechless.
And thanks for tuning in. Check out next week. All right.
Oh, wait. Right next to it, there's a TR6 that's on NC and RX8 bodies with a 650 horsepower Honda K24 motor. None of these things are my work, by the way. They were built by someone else, and they sent them to me and said, "Can you fix this?"
That tracks.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of fixing stuff, it's time for what you're working on. And I don't know, Jeff, you're probably not fixing anything, but I'm going to try it anyway. What you working on, Jeff?
I'm working on fixing my house. Due to some last minute changes in the last 48 hours, we are now hosting Christmas Day.
That's
instead
exciting.
of visiting. So, that's.
So you need to put a railing in at least.
No,
yes?
the railing is not going to happen because we have too many other things to do.
That's not good.
Yeah. We went to see Spider-Man.
It's hilarious.
Oh.
Put a GoPro on it.
Oh.
So we went to see Spider-Man because my son is 13, and I did a bunch of BSA, that's used to be Boy Scout of America training. Chrissy, check this out because I know you're Girl Scout professional at one point.
Sure.
Just a volunteer now. I am one of 4 people in my half of the state that is certified and trained to give the new diversity and inclusion merit badge.
I am not surprised by any of this, right?
Duh. But that took a lot of meetings. I had to interview for it. I had to slog through a bunch of online training. It was
Are you inclusive? Are you diverse? Well, you're not diverse, but you pretend that you're diverse. Good for you. That's the right answer. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, Mental, what are you working on?
At our in things that only people in my part of the country get to say, we had our pool pump replaced. It had been making a cracking noise for a while and then went down. I took it apart to the point of it's going to get expensive if I go any farther. And I went up to the local pool supply store, and anyone under the age of 30 looks like they're 12. The 12-year-old girl working behind the counter hooked it up to it, and it did the thing. She goes, "Oh yeah, your bearings are cooked." It's jamming up in there. And I'm like, okay, you are way smarter than me. Guy came out to fix it today because they had to do it on site, and he was the original installer. Good news, it was completely replaced under warranty. So that was fantastic.
Whoa.
What? I love warranty.
Absolutely. And so if you have a pool and there is a Leslie's Pool Supply near you, Leslie's Pool Supply, because that guy could have said nothing and just charge us for it. No, he's like, oh, it's replaced under warranty. In fact, I'm the one that put it in. Here, no problem.
Nationwide company too, I think.
Yes. So props to Leslie's Pool. Last week I mentioned I was going to go to the open mic night with our friend JP and I guess his buddy. It got canceled, but then they called and said, come by, you'll get on standby. We'd already shown up and sat down. And I'd forgotten, we used to do this a lot in Atlanta, how fun an open mic night comedy could be. Because yes, it full up cringeworthy of, wow, you thought that was funny. Okay. All the way to just uproarious, hilarious, semi-professional comedians just trying to work out a new bit. So that was great. The FF podcast that I was on is out with Jaime Garcia. That was good. And we've been talking to people on the Instagrams, as Jeff was talking before. And we just got done filming the Sonoma wrap up last night. So with it's going to be a triple. So it's me, Nick, and Judge Kristen. And I believe
I forgot to send the videos of me using the dick axe.
I was going to say, yeah, we got like a picture of the dick axe. We make reference to the dick axe. So if you have, footage, Griffin.
I have video.
Yes, absolutely.
I'll email it to you after this. I have footage of me using it.
Outstanding. And if you
Everyone
want to know
wants to see that.
If you want to know what the dick axe is, you're going to have to tune into the Sonoma wrap up video.
Yeah.
So it is actually, Judge Kristen is really funny. So this is going to be a whole new dimension. And as Jeff knows, I've been quite busy on our YouTube channel. Adding
Yes.
some things into it. So if you haven't been to our YouTube channel in a while, or you're watching this on the YouTube, there's actually non-podcast nonsense that we've put up there. And most of it's terrible, but some of it's pretty good.
Okay.
Chrissy. What
Great.
do you got?
Oh, I've also been not working on cars. I did some work when Chris did not. He'll tell you about what he was doing. Was doing some cleaning where we had a 2-year-old birthday party last weekend. Not here, but I was assisting
It's
with
a
that.
long time to have a birthday party.
Oh man,
Like
it was
usually
it
after
was
like
a long
8 or
day
9
anyway.
hours, I'm like, oh, I'm done. But it's
Right?
just
Total
longer.
rager. Yeah.
But I'd say, we've got friends. Like I feel like Pantless Matt's 40th should have gone for 2 years. That could have.
I think it. I think it does.
Still
I
is.
think that's I think it's 40 plus years. I'm sorry, a birthday party for a 2-year-old, and now we've been prepping for Christmas. We're gonna have a lot of Christmas here, so cleaning, cooking, that good stuff. Chris, you actually worked on a car. Tell us about it.
I did. I pulled our old Civic chassis out of the garage. Oh, great. Oh, fantastic. Old Civic chassis out of the garage. And it's now out in the yard. I had to move it with a floor jack under the back. There's no rear suspension at all. So it's nicely sitting in my yard with a tarp over it as I really redneck up the place until it's ready to get picked up. A new Civic is in on the lift. Interior is more stripped than when it came in. Mercedes, I tried to fix it. Oh, yes, Chrissy.
We had some fanboys with an eye in a Subaru. Slow down. Oh, I'm sorry, it wasn't neon.
It's even better. It was a neon. They slowed down. They're like, "Hey, that's sweet," about the Civic hatch in the garage, and it's like, "Thanks, guys."
The new one or
The new one. They didn't even see
Good.
the old one.
Good question. But the new one was, or the old one was in the yard that's like right next to it. So I thought they could have been.
With
I was
no
looking at
suspension
from,
on it.
from upstairs.
So it was hella slammed.
Well, no, I put some
Probably-
jack stands under it, so it doesn't you have to kind of look at it to see there's no suspension.
It also has a tarp on it, so it's
Yeah.
Okay. The
classy
Anyway.
AF.
trombone is now assembled for you to continue your stories.
Got it. The Merc, I threw in the towel on that after trying even more. Apparently, even I can't get I just couldn't
It's
get
your
the
front
stupid thing to
radar
program.
thing, right?
Yeah. So it's at Mercedes right now. They contend that a new bracket for the radar sensor will let them calibrate it properly. It's just too finicky to do it otherwise. So fine.
They may not be wrong.
Yep. So that's good. And also listed the Citroen for sale on Sunday afternoon. Said, well, this is going to take a while. Woke up Monday morning. Says, congratulations, you sold your item on eBay. Yep.
That's not bad.
Jeff has been practicing triumphant
I have
trombone.
not.
I am legitimately that sounded triumphant
Yeah.
on a Citrion level of skill.
The guy who bought it has already paid me for it. He's from Texas. He's having it shipped to Texas. He is mentally ill in that he has other SMs and decided more is a good idea. I suspect he needs this one to have parts to fix his other SMs.
Oh, I hope he lives next to a Baptist church. I really hope he lives next to
he's in Austin. So at least he's, that makes a little more sense.
There's no SM left on. I know S&M left on said SM.
The
So
shifter
it's not.
is
There's
still
shifters.
There's
Oh,
the dick
shifter still.
shifter. There's the dick shifter still.
Fine.
That'll be a nice treat for the transport driver and whoever else.
Oh no. Also just putting it into drive.
Well, I'm gonna have to put a
no.
extra hose clamp or tape around the shift cable just to hope it can nurse its way on and off.
Because you
the
don't always
transporter.
have somebody who can put it actually in that
Mhm.
hand motion was not good.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry. But yes, doing that to the shifter cable, not good.
Yeah. Yep. So anyway, that's what I've been doing. And you definitely have noticed that familiar voice that hasn't been on the show before, but you probably feared that voice when you've heard it in the past. This is our guest this evening, the one, the only John Pagel. John, what you working on?
Well, I wanted to work on that SM. I had transport arranged and you guys sold it out from under me.
How could I know that some fool
I
would
talked
actually
to you.
buy it?
I said I was interested, but you were drinking.
Well,
It's
yeah, well,
true.
we all were at the time. I didn't.
Also,
seemed
we've
like
had
our
it for sale for 4 years now. So
I
5.
didn't know that.
Oh.
I asked. I said, "Is it for sale?" You guys told me yes, and I'm like, "I'll see if I can arrange transportation." Anyway, no, we're seriously no harm, no foul. It
Yeah.
would probably end up in a divorce for me, so it's good.
Could it
Or-
really be worse than the 928 Ranchero?
or open up an entire new dimension of emotional connection through whatever devices were left in that thing after the S&M thing.
Right. Just an aside, I don't know if you watched the show, but the latest Grand Tour was all about French cars.
I've got
And
about
they
halfway
ended it-
through it. Yes.
And they ended it with an SM, of course. And
course.
we started watching it, and I said to my wife, an SM is going to be in this show. And sure enough, it was that gold, the sand gold one at the very end. And I think Hammond bought it.
I'm sure it was
They're
exponentially more beautiful than ours.
They're gorgeous when they're gorgeous. How's that for an answer?
You're
That
absolutely
is
right.
a good answer.
And they're really cool when they're good. And like when
Yeah.
all the things work and the interior is nice, they are just like they're cooler than the other side of the pillow.
They are hella cool. But anyway, what else am I working on? I'm back from Nova Scotia, got the house there cleared up, and then got a text from my neighbor there today and said, yeah, the winds were 100 miles per hour again, and some of the siding blew off. I'm like, oh, damn.
Oh.
So I got someone to go fix that. And then we're hosting Christmas dinner, and a lot of this house was unfinished. And so I've been varnishing doors that have been installed and not varnished for years and stuff like that. So, and
I'm not going to lie. That really makes me feel so much better about my house that you have like long-term projects you haven't gotten to. Okay. I am not not for that reason, a complete loser. So
yeah. There's a lot of long-term projects. Oh, and I fixed our wooden hot tub believe it or not. No, it's a relatively new clear cedar hot tub. It's gorgeous. And it started leaking way prematurely because we haven't had it that long. And they're like, do this. We did all these things. And the guy said, well, last chance, stir a bunch of sawdust in them. I'm working on the house. I'm making lots of sawdust. So basically you stir sawdust into it. It sucks into the thing, expands, boom, tight as a drum. It was going from like pouring out like a faucet. I pour sawdust into it, stir it up. It was like witch's brew, sawdust and dirt. You mix it in, totally sealed.
So raise your hand if you've owned a wooden sailboat.
Yep.
Totally makes sense to me.
Totally.
And my wife told me over and over again that my brother-in-law said, add sawdust. And I said, well, the company that made the hot tub said no, but then they changed their tune and said, well, last resort, stir in some sawdust and dirt. They said dirt. it helps us bind the sawdust together, and it worked.
Yeah.
So
rub
now,
some dirt on it. Harden up.
So my grandfather, who built the wooden sailboats that I have owned, all three of them, said they leak until they swell.
Yes, and that's when I built this hot tub 2 years ago, you couldn't pour water into it fast enough for it to hold water.
That's unfortunate.
And then it starts swelling up and it goes boop, quits leaking. And for cars, I mean, there's the standard litany of crap cans and nice cars and stuff like that that comes through my shop. And I mean, it's an endless list. And I'm behind. And what is there? I've got a 240Z. I've got an Alpha GTV. I've got another Alpha GTV, both types, the old cool ones and the new not so cool ones. A speed yellow Miata. There's a really rare late yellow Miata.
In the NA?
NB.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, no, the NA Sunburst Yellow is a rare
Sunburst,
car,
yeah.
but the NB2, like 2002 only, is even rarer. There's super rare. Nice car.
I'm not so sure I've ever seen an NB yellow.
Yeah, no, they're like, there's only like 999 made or something like that. Super rare car. I'm building an engine for that. What else have I got out there? That's about it. I mean, I got all my own, my Austin Healey, all that stuff. I'm not working on my own cars because I can't afford to. I have to work on other people's cars. So.
Yep.
We get that.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, at least I covered them up so they wouldn't get rusty in the storm that's coming. So.
That NB with
Ooh.
white wheels, it is
Oh.
definitely a different color than the Sunburst.
It is a different color. It's not as bright. It's more lemon yellow. Speaks to colorblind guy. You can ignore everything I just said. Okay. But it is a cool car.
Nice.
I'm interested. He only paid $3,900 for it, and it's got relatively low miles. And I'm like,
But it had a blown motor, right? I mean, that's why
it's-
you're rebuilding it.
it drove here. Let me say that, but it wasn't going to go much further, right? So
Needs fuel pump. I
needs
guess.
fuel pump. Yeah, and the guy just gave me a box of all forged internal parts and expensive Wiseco pistons and all this stuff, and says, "Here, make it work." I'm like, "Yeah, all
No
right."
prob.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
Sure.
got that.
Nice.
Great.
Well, as we move on to our next segment,
News and notes time. It's finally official. The SA 2010 helmets are done. Get rid of it. Get a new one. Elements HQ sent an email with an announcement regarding this. Champ Car basic competition rules also say the SA 2015 or better. Lucky Dogs rule quote directly as to SA 2020, SA 2010 no longer valid for the 2022 competition year. AER stopped allowing them in their 2021 rule book. They are widely available, and the SA 2015s have crazy sales going on. Protect your head, get your old one out. It'd be stupid to show up to the track and just get rejected for that. So fix it. You got time. And Christmas is coming.
Makes a nice planter or something for the kids
Absolutely.
to play with.
Or-
something for
Or-
the nephew to cosplay with.
Or a fueling helmet.
Or-
A fueling helmet so you don't jack up your good helmet.
right.
Sure.
If
Yeah.
you're going to get rid of it, though, it's a good idea to cut the chin straps off so people don't actually try to use it for real racing kind of things. Maybe.
What's funny? Sorry, this is my job.
Please? Yeah, I know. Please.
Sure.
What's funny is probably an SA 2010 helmet used for the series that we use, which are not every weekend and not get dirt, is probably a better helmet than being used by something like 90% of the people participating in motorsports in the United States.
Oh, yes.
Because most people are using absolute dog meat.
Exactly.
They're
But
using
what's-
motorcycle helmets and
They're
yeah.
using motorcycle helmets. They're using helmet. I mean, I went to a circle track not that long ago, and there's guys using helmets from the 50s. I mean, I swear to God.
Leather.
worry.
It's a leather. It's a football helmet. Yeah.
Yeah. I go to events like that. I see stuff like that, and I have to like turn around and walk away. I'm like, I can't even wade in.
This helmet's fine. My grandfather crashed in it 3 times before it killed him.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
One step up from a bucket, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Hey, in
Oh,
news
boy.
we might have missed, Toyota unveiled an entirely new line of future EVs and hybrids. Joey Caparella at Car and Driver gave us the high notes of what he called a massive dump of concept cars. Included is a very Tacoma-looking pickup, Lexus supercar, baby Land Cruiser, electric 3-row SUV, and utility cargo and people movers. After pushing back against an all-electric lineup, because Toyota really was all hybrid everything forever, Toyota said they're going to offer 30 electric models by 2030. That's pretty ambitious. They also claim to be working on solid-state batteries across their model line. So concepts are neat, worth a half a cup of coffee as you sit there and look at them, see what Toyota is actually trying.
Now, I believe Toyota used the term electrified, not
that makes
fully
more
electric
sense.
in that article. So I think they are still hedging their bets in the full electric fleet.
Is Volvo the only one still saying they're going to be totally electric, no hybrid or anything by 2035? I believe
think GM
they're
is still saying it, but I
And,
can't believe anyone are going to make it.
We did something about Jaguar, I want to say as well, like jumped on that bandwagon.
right.
I think Ford is saying it too, but again, we don't believe them.
Mhm. Yeah.
Right. But I mean, Volvo's advertising it everywhere I go. I'm seeing like billboards and ads, that we're doing this. Is it 2030 or 2035? I forget which.
2030, I think, is what
Is it-
Ford and Chevy are quoting.
Yeah. So, but I mean,
Who knows?
I don't think they'd be pushing it so hard if they're not going to do it, because that would be
I
not
would
great.
believe a smaller manufacturer like Volvo would have a much better chance.
And they
Right.
already are doing all the Polestar stuff, so they're basically beta testing it with the people who are buying the Polestars. And
Right.
really, Volvo has one engine right now. They have one 4-cylinder engine they put in every single thing, and with just various chargers on it and
Yeah.
various electrification. So it's their easiest one to move.
They're also
Yeah.
still discussing like subscription models versus purchase models. Again, potentially wave of the future.
The
Well, you know
Scandinavian
about
countries.
those Swedish magazines that you subscribe to,
The only ones I subscribe to come in brown paper packages.
Yeah, right.
The Scandinavian countries, though, really are progressive on this issue with a lot of the tax incentives for electric cars. So the take rate is already quite high in those countries, despite the weather.
Yeah.
The best selling car in Norway is the Tesla.
Yeah. Yep.
And in Europe really has the infrastructure to start supporting an all EV kind of a deal. So now, in not cutting edge new news, but related to that Toyota story, during that exact same reveal, Toyota has built a sense of humor. Now, Rob Stumpf, who's also from The Drive, explains that just behind Akira Toyoda were two small box fans, those people cargo movers that they were talking about. Ideally, these are going to be light commercial applications. Now, one of these had a QRR sticker on the front windshield. And this is how you get menus now, which actually is one of the good things that come out of the Rona, is you just come up and get a menu. You don't have to wait on there. They put them on there, and it's either use your camera or QRR reader. And as Stump explains, quote, "My curiosity took over and I thought it was a good idea to scan it, right? Wrong. Now, if you don't know, as we talked about the QRR, it's those squares with all the
little splotchy things.
Right. It almost looks like a Minecraft kind of a deal. So this QR code that was on this people mover was used by Toyota to rickroll anyone who scanned it. It's been a decade, but if you need to know what a rickroll is, go ahead and click on the link in our show notes. Chrissy, don't click on the link.
Why? It says it's in the notes. Why?
And as Akito Toyoda himself said, "We're no strangers to love. You know the rules, and so do I." I'm impressed, because I got to tell you, you wouldn't get that from any other guy.
I'm not clicking on the link.
No, thanks for telling us how you're feeling, Mental.
Hey, so update. I just hit 11,111 miles on my Veloster N.
Did you take a picture?
I did take a picture, of
Oh,
course.
good.
You only had it for
And-
like 6 months. So you
I
put
know.
10,000 miles on it in 6 months?
Pretty much.
Wow.
So this is what I do. I commute. So anyway, I have my tags, right? Got my tags several weeks after. We've
You
also
still have some
covered-
problems with communication between you and Hyundai that doesn't believe that you're.
No, that fixed. That got fixed too.
Well, you had for a while. You had
I had
this
to go
problem.
to Hyundai. Yeah. So we also covered that Dr. Donnie's sweet TDI Jetta wagon was bought from Carvana, and last I heard, and this was obviously a long time ago, Donnie still had not yet received his tags. Well, Carvana is having problems in a few states, and Florida is threatening to take away their dealership license for the entire state. It started as a Wall Street Journal report in October reporting twice as many consumer complaints versus rival CarMax, who sells 3 times as many cars in America. And North Carolina actually gave Carvana a 6-month ban from selling in their state. There's $850,000 that have been levied in fines in California, and it's mostly based on the same complaint: title issues and delays, where the company basically keeps re-upping and extending the temporary tags while the customers await their DMV paperwork and their titles to be completed. No idea what's going out there. Godspeed, Donnie. If only you had some other cars you could drive in case you still don't have your tags. I'm going to put 2 links in the show notes. One is the original Wall Street Journal article that talked about a lot of the problems, and one of them is specifically Florida. So, hey, jump on that class action lawsuit, Donnie.
I mean, he does have other cars. I know. We
About
know.
80 of them.
Are they tagged road legal? Right.
I'm sure they're not.
Right. So
No. The Suburban's legal. The Saturn IRL is legal.
He usually keeps the Saturn. Yeah, red line.
Okay.
You can't ever he doesn't even know how many he has, let alone
doesn't.
how many so
No,
don't
we
even
asked
try.
that one day. Wait, which was a hypothetical, really. And
I
he
thought it was
like,
a math question. Like, hey, can you count up your cars? Like, you have a doctorate in mathematics.
I am a mathematician, and it would take me a while to tell you how many cars I have. Sorry.
Maybe that's what the problem
If
is.
John buys 1 Miata in Nevada and 3 in California, but his wife burns 3 to the ground before he gets home, how many Miatas does he have?
There are 4 Miatas in Nova Scotia, but only 25% of them are in his name.
Oh, after driving my truck in Nova Scotia for for 2 months, I get back and I couldn't drive any of my cars. Because it's this old Dodge, and I couldn't find the headlights in my wife's Volvo or my Honda and everything like that. I couldn't find the switches anymore. I'm like, how does this thing work?
Yeah, it's too much automatic.
happens.
You
It
didn't
happens.
even know.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Also on the internet, in this week's edition of What is Interesting on RacingJunk.com, I found a section that's pretty awesome. It's called Throwback Thursday, which is older articles that they posted, and they're all about different types of racing and cars. And it was really cool to see an article that was entitled 20 Years Ago, Radar-Based Cruise Control Debuts. A 1911 national racing team that won Vintage Indy, and Lincolns Go South of the Border, I know who likes this one. On November 19th, 1952, a team of Lincolns ran their Mexican road race, the Carrera Pan America. I didn't get that far deep into this article, as stock cars, and proved their worth. So, as I mentioned, this site is awesome for going down rabbit holes, and there are so many great places to hang out when you get there.
I read an tech article about how to make your G-body handle. And I was salivating over all of the Grand National and T-type pictures. I was like,
oh, yes.
All that
I
info
need
will
one of
apply
those.
to an S10 basically too, for anyone out there that's
Oh.
racing.
I think it would take Harry Potter to make a G-body handle. There's
could be right.
got to be magic.
Or Corey
he's-
Dickman. I think Corey Dickman could make one handle.
Okay,
those
Okay.
Pro Tour guys can make them handle like
they
that.
can. They truly can. But there's nothing left of the original suspension when that's
No,
done.
Please. That stuff is
I think it was
gone.
Colin Chapman that
The,
said
the
any
geometry is gone. The only
Right.
thing that's the same is it's got a stick axle. Other than that, everything's different.
any suspension can work if you don't let it.
Exactly.
All right, let's do the next upcoming races. Any upcoming races?
No.
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 No, it's Christmas.
Recent results? No.
No,
None of
No.
them
it's
either.
off season.
We're done for a while.
Yeah.
There is Lemons Eye Racing. We've been neglecting on this.
We can add that
spend,
back.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
they're
did
back?
spend Sunday commentating with a bearded sim racer who now has parlayed his time with the Lemons Eye Racing League. He is now like the NASCAR darling. So
Yeah.
he is doing like half of eNASCAR's broadcast. It's fantastic.
Good for him.
Yeah, great.
The Lemons
Uh,
Eye Racing site ended on October 24th, so I didn't know they started again. So,
They did. He's been doing them race by race. They're taking Christmas off. They'll be back right after the first of the year. The last one was the Funduro at the Charlotte Roval. All the regulars were there. Ron, Lady A, yeah, the whole crew. Tyler Stank was in an epic battle with Wartburger Thief Aaron and Uncle Dave, and in the end, he emerged triumphant.
Tyler did.
Yeah, Amanda Tully was even there, where they boring
What?
BMW painted up just like hers and staring at her 10-inch monitor.
I bet
without
because
her glasses.
Without her glasses on.
because she's in the that's a pretty good segue. We're gonna listen to feedback. Never mind.
Yeah.
Sorry, we
Yeah,
didn't want listener feedback.
Land it anyway, Chrissy. Go for it.
Okay, so that was the segue into how is Jeff doing the Survive 25, because he was pretty darn low on the list. But if Amanda Tully, who is also in this challenge, is in the Enduro, this is the problem of why Jeff is not even on the leaderboard.
Oh, but you would be wrong, because
Oh.
there was a post this week that says our man Jeff is number 4. Bam!
I missed
From
that.
0 to hero.
Okay,
Yes.
I stand corrected. I missed this all. Okay,
I
My
only
bad,
lost
'cause
one
I
more
didn't-
pound, but I finished my book.
Yep.
So a book is worth 5 pounds. That's like so easy. You could just like read a lot and win this challenge.
like you have
Uh,
time to read a lot.
I don't.
That's
noticed
okay.
But
Every single person competing in this is reading the Ross Bentley book.
good, easy
That's
read
fine.
with good results.
I like
Great.
the Ross Bentley
Great
book.
book.
Listener feedback time. Mental already mentioned that he is hot on the heels of loading things into our YouTube channel. So much so every time I went to load something, I was like, oh, Mental just loaded something. I'll wait 12 hours. And then I forget. And then like the next time I go back, he's loaded something. So he loaded the great stand-up we did in front of Farm Truck and Asians Farm Truck, which is also a boat where we
I think it's
make fun
only
of
a
it.
boat, not yeah.
It's only a
just like
boat, yeah.
Yeah.
Where we basically said, hey, made a race boat first. And doesn't Hoosty show up and make fun of our clothes and our haircuts? I don't know. Trying to talk about cars, and he's like, who wore it better? Or maybe he was talking about the cars. I don't know. I immediately assumed he was talking about our clothes.
Well, you are such a fashion magnate, Jeff. I mean, you're
In
racing
my-
in fashion. It's you and Lewis Hamilton. That's basically
True.
it, right? Yeah.
And I was actually going to go on Jeff's hair, actually, because I'm sure that is on the somebody's bingo card. Hopefully they're playing, but you're just talking about haircuts. Not like Jeff has a whole lot of options. So there's
No.
that.
Now, also one of the things during the New Hampshire Hoopty Fest, I was texting my dad, good morning, how's it going? Now we're in the same time zone. And he's like, what exactly do you do at these races? And I came with the idea of, I'll set my phone up at the checker flag on Saturday, as I love to just do the high five thing as everybody comes off the track. And I recorded that, and it really just did not clear this up for my dad at all. But I went ahead and posted
You high five people?
What does that even do?
Yeah, right. You stand there at the track and start finish and high five every car that goes by, right?
Absolutely. During the race.
Yeah,
Usually
of
about
course.
lunchtime. Yeah.
This actually is the perfect job for Mental. If you need a job you need a guy that's really enthusiastic. He doesn't have to do much else. Got it.
When I first started racing, I always remembered, the old school, and Jay and Nick and Phil, and they just, oh, hey, you survived. It was a big deal. Cars we weren't as good at it then as we are
didn't
now.
expect things to survive.
And so it was always a good sense of accomplishment. And now being on the other side of it, I really enjoy doing that. So that video's on there. And Tim Burr said, this is a really cool way to see the field of that race at New Hampshire. Wish we could have done this prior to the race start, because, then it's Dale. So we should start putting one of those chest cams on Dale as he walks around doing, his stuff. But and then he said that way we could know the numbers and the make of the car, because Race Monitor just puts the team name and you don't know what kind of car they're driving. So that was some of our feedback on there.
Yeah.
And after I think a year and a half of trying to edit, trying to figure out what I was trying to do with it. I posted the Mercedes CLS video where I did Highway 50 in Nevada coming down, and that got some good feedback. And wow, hey, that's a great road. It looks like I might be exceeding the speed limit. I'm totally not. We just sped up the background.
That's right.
I'm sure. Yes.
I promise the Donk Racing and the Simpson helmet and a couple of other things will get up there. I just have to sneak in between mental because I don't want to post things on top of each other because then you'll never see them. So,
or just go to our channel and watch all of them.
It's true. It's true. You know who really doesn't need to go to our channel and watch all of our videos because she knows us and has listened to every single show? It's Chrissy's mom.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't have to go to the YouTube. She's the only one listening who doesn't have to hit the like and subscribe button on our YouTube channel because she already has.
I don't know how much
Hi,
she is
Chrissy's
on
mom.
YouTube. She's a listener though.
She was probably our first subscriber on YouTube and has just never gone back.
She's like,
That's
yeah,
fair.
I know what you're
So
looking.
she's what, 50% of the audience?
Oh yeah,
Yep.
totally. Like from day
that?
one. For a while she
27%.
was 100%.
Okay.
Hey, topic time. We're I love this. Now is the winter of our discontent. What you can do to make your car safer next year if you have that project that's rusting away, that's not yet complete, you're reading the How Not to Fail tech book, you're posting on the internet, should I make this circle car a lemons car? Well, show's over.
But also you've got that car that you've got your Volvo that you've campaigned for the 3 races you run on the East Coast, and now it's time to put it away for the winter. You want it, and you just because you're not competitive, you don't want to die, you don't want to kill somebody.
Or that Camaro that you've raced for 7 years now, and what was good then might be a little
Might
different
not
these
be
days,
now,
right?
yeah.
And the car is a little worse. Who knows how that happens?
Should we read the actual intro or should we just jump into it?
No, go for it.
Jeff.
All right, contrary to our irreverent reputation, we all, not just Chrissy, want to be safe. Getting hurt, wadding up a car or someone else's is not a good time, more so if it's something you...
No, especially if you didn't spent your whole COVID winter building it.
True. If it's something you could have prevented accidents are not a fun time. So we brought in an expert, Lemon's tech boss, NASA tech inspector, professional cage builder. And if you haven't had a chance to chat with him, you may not know John Pagel also races cars every now and then. Some of them have magic spinning triangles back in the day, which is maybe. Can we just talk about that instead of tech? Because
Yeah, well, I mean, how did it happen? So there's a guy I knew.
We all ask ourselves that.
Yeah.
At least 3 times a race weekend and twice a year.
How the hell did
I
that
was
happen?
running a repair shop in Santa Rosa, California, and a guy I knew from Marin County had moved up to Santa Rosa, and I would say, screams into the parking lot in a first generation RX-7. And he was an acquaintance, not a friend. And he says, John, we're going racing in this new Pro 7 series that NASA's putting out, and we're going to race an RX-7. I'm like, who are you? And we did. And I raced a first gen RX-7 for 20 years. And I love them. I really, really do. I like everything about them. I like the way they look. I like the way they handle. They're sliding all the time, right? And no, they don't handle well, but they're really fun to drive, right? And they're always sideways. You're always fighting the steering wheel. And I had a great time. I absolutely love those. And then, like most people who raced Pro 7, I graduated into Spec Miata because that was where it went, right? The Pro 7 fields were diminishing. The Spec Miata fields were coming up. This is in the late, like 2008, 2006, 7, 8 is when Spec Miata had been around since 99. But it started growing really fast and Pro 7 started shrinking. Back in the early 2000s, the Pro 7 and late 90s, the Pro 7 fields were just as big, 50 cars, 60 cars. And we ran on ovals too. We ran on ovals in California. We ran them on Altamont and at Ukiah. And it was fun. I really enjoyed doing that. And then since then, I raced in lemons. I mean, I came to lemons and started racing in lemons. I mean, that's a story in and of itself that's been told before, but basically I showed up at the lemons race at Altamont and was horrified.
It was
Who wasn't?
horrified. It was something to be horrified about. It was.
I think all racers, not even just safety people, or with a safety mindset, I think people were horrified at all.
Yeah,
we
no,
weren't
I
there,
mean,
but I've heard about it.
There were cars that only had roll bars, not roll cages, and the roll bars were made out of exhaust tubing, and were pieced together and had big weld holes in them, and
3-point seat belts, stock seats. Yeah.
Yeah, and I showed up in a Volvo and with a good cage in it, and I was working for Jay at the next event. He basically said,
that guy knows what he's doing. We better hire him.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it went down. I mean, there's really it wasn't more than that.
That answers the next question, because you're a fixture at the West Coast events, and you're actually very active on the forums and the Facebook pages, answering the same question 47 times, and how did you become the tech boss? But how long have you been doing this now? How long have you been the tech guy with lemons?
Well, back to the 47 times. It's funny when I start writing letters that are not for lemons and everything like that, and I start writing something that the word change sounds like, no, that helmet will not pass. I'd be writing a note to my wife, and it's like, no, that helmet. I'm like, no, this is not lemons. Because it's the AI running it. I mean, it says this expression, no, the exhaust tubing needs to be, reinforced, whatever those are.
So
whatever those
as soon as you type in
are.
No, the autofill just goes,
the auto
will not
fill.
pass tech.
Yeah, and I have typed like three words in, and the entire thing populates, and I'm like, that's exactly what I wanted to say.
Right arrow, right arrow, right arrow, right arrow.
I'm sending this to Chrissy about her helmet, and I don't have to. I'm like, I hit A, and it's like, done. Cool. That's exactly what I wanted to say.
The AI overlords will replace us all.
Occasionally it's gotten me into a little bit of trouble, but it works really, really well. I mean, I have a whole bunch of canned responses that I pull up by name, but when I just start typing stuff, it's always predicting what I'm going to say.
I just have this version of a very flustered Clippy from the old Microsoft Word days going, it looks like you're telling another bunch of young idiot engineer wannabes why their crap's not going to pass. Would you like some help?
I actually think I should write a humorous column about some of the stuff I get, just, excise the names and everything. It's like, I understand that bolt together cages are not allowed, but can I use a bolt together cage?
Sure, for you, anything.
This is a question that's asked at least once a week. I am not kidding you. I mean, it's like, I know, I read that bolt together cages are not allowed. Can I use a bolt together cage? I'm like,
that means they read to the document, read it, or at least asked on Facebook or asked somewhere. You've heard it. Why would you believe it?
I know this is Burger King.
I don't get it.
But can I please get I please? Yeah.
Oh, you get.
Can I get a
Big Mac? You want a Big Mac? Yes. A McRib.
None of us eat at McDonald's because none of us could land that joke.
And then another one is they get all lawyerly on you. Like, I'm married to a lawyer, just FYI. So just and so they get all lawyerly. You answer. They a question. It's like, can I remove all my doors and replace them with fiberglass, or can I not run this and can I not do that? And I'm like, no. It says you have to have body panels, but it doesn't say I can't make thin ones out of fiberglass. I'm like, So my answer, I have a canned answer to that. And yes, I could type it in and it would come up right here, right now. It would say something. I said, Jay would pay me to write that rule book, and I'd make a lot of money writing a 2,000-page rule book for Jay, but you don't want me to do that. You want the 1,000 words we have, and be like, yeah, we love the really short rules. I'm like, and you just asked me to call out no on every single thing you could possibly think of. The guys who are thinking around the rule, and they're never doing it for safety. They claim they're doing it for safety. They're like, oh, I need a fuel cell for safety. It's like, yeah, you're putting the same size. It's, oh, no, we're putting a 24-gallon cell. You know, it's like, don't lie.
Because a 24 is safer than
Yeah,
an
right.
18.
Yes.
And I don't get the email, but I get the exact same questions. And I just come to the point. They're like, well, blah, 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 you know, where's the exact line? And I always look at them, and it was the same stuff. The same thing I did when I was in a year. I'm like, I'm not going to give you that exact line, because the fact that you're asking that exact line already tells me you're going to be way too much of a pain in the butt. So just do the thing that you know is right. And if you have to come to me to try and find where exactly that gnat's hair is, you're doing it wrong. So
And
just
my answer
stop.
to that is, I have given you my answer. And this is cant. Again, I could put this in, I have, and it would come up. All right. I have given you my answer. You can do whatever you want. But if you answer to me, your likelihood of passing tech is much higher. I don't get all, negative or anything like that. You want to risk going to the track without doing it right. That's your call, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
What
else do you want to know?
I want to know that you've teched a lot.
My
of cars,
house
obviously.
in Nova Scotia passed tech.
Oh, fantastic. First time?
No.
Oh, okay. That's
See,
okay. Well,
he's just like you.
right.
Cut the guy
So-
a break.
That was an unfair question, Chris.
I know.
Yeah.
So when you have failed a car after going through tech, or you feel you failed a great number for good reasons, what is a common and easy to fix thing that cars will consistently fail tech for? Something that people can go check their car now and say, oh, I should fix that and not have to fail tech.
There was at Sonoma, and in the past couple of races, there's been I shouldn't swear. A metric-
Yeah, on
Yeah,
this
you
fucking
can swear.
show,
It's fine.
my
yeah,
dad stopped
a-
listening long ago.
a lot, let's just call it a lot of out-of-date belts. Because a lot of the cars sat through COVID, right? And people weren't even
Yeah.
looking at them. And, people usually, they're getting in and out, and they're using their car 4 or 5 times a year or more. Or unless you're Anton 78 times a year, right? And all the belts were out of date. I mean, we sold out the trackside shops sold out. People were driving into Denver to get belts, and people were going to Wine Country Motorsports at Sears. I still call it Sears Point. It's always going to be Sears Point in my mind. That's always Sears Point done. Okay. And all of that's a big fail, and that's easy to fix, right? It's 10 minutes to put in new belts, and you're down the road. It just costs money. And lots of improperly installed belts, lots of stuff like that, where there's the rubber hits the road at how the belts and the seat are mounted. That is the cage is really, really, really important, so the car doesn't come down on you. But the car rarely comes down on you when you roll over or anything like that. The cage rarely saves your life, simply because the cars don't crush that much. And we're in a series where they don't. What happens is, if the belts are installed improperly or the seats installed properly in a easy to obtain 20G crash, it's really easy to get to 20 Gs in a crash that doesn't even total the car, right? If that stuff's not in right, you're out through the windshield, flying. So that I lean on that, and it's usually easy to fix. So, and then the other big one is height. Tall people like me. We are the only series in the United States that I can tell. Shouldn't say that. As far as I know, we are the only series that strictly imposes a helmet height rule in enclosed cars. End of sentence. I don't know of any others. A lot of other ones, your helmet can be above the roll bar in an enclosed car, but it can't be in an open car. So,
and you've heard me say this. I've seen a car, an enclosed car flip. It ground through the roof, and it ground partially through a helmet. And this was maybe a 10-foot slide on the roof. And so, yeah, I know you've been there when we pulled people out of the car going, hey, this guy can't drive anymore. Go get a short guy.
Yeah. No, we do that all the time. And that's not a car failure. Because if you got a bunch of short people that fit, you got 4 guys that fit and 1 guy that doesn't, well, the 4 guys can still drive. Right. So I don't fail the car. I don't send the car back. I'll sign off on it, but I tell them, we'll catch you going out on track, and the tall guy can't drive. So.
that made me, your first answer made me think of another question that's not on the list. So I'm going off script. What is a
Shh,
regular?
don't tell people we have a script.
I know. What's a regular like key indicator that if you see this thing, I got to look at this car better? Like,
Ooh, I maybe shouldn't say that because people will clean that up. That
I
might
think
be
that's what this show is about, right? To fix the
insider
problems.
information.
we want to fix the problem.
We want to fix the
first.
problem before they get there. You don't want,
Right,
we
yeah.
don't like welding at the track. We don't like trying to sell out the very expensive belts at the shop. We want,
I will
Go ahead.
tell you that I have never seen a super clean car with all of its wiring tied down and everything done right fail tech in any way. Never.
Attention to detail.
Attention to
If
detail.
they're-
Yeah.
if they're
Okay.
doing all that work, they probably did all the big stuff first.
So I see a brand new car come in and I've never seen it before. And what's just really funny, I ask people, is this a new car? And they say, no. I said, well, did you just build it? And they're like, yeah. And like, no, I know it's not a new car.
It's from 1993. What do you want?
It's like, yes, it's blonde hair and there's not much of it, but
you mean
I'm
this is not a
not-
2020,
Oh,
a 2021, right? Come on. Wow.
Oh,
Wow.
Yes.
and I see it and it's rough. I know I'm going to have problems and I see it and it's just detailed out and all the wiring's clean and everything's done just perfectly. I'm like, the likelihood, I still check it just as well. Don't get me wrong, but that is a huge teller. I mean, I shouldn't say never, but I rarely fail cars when the people are paying that much money and time to detail.
They're going to actually read the book.
The likelihood, and then they hand me their tech sheet, and behind it is how not to fail tech, and behind that is the rules, clipped onto it, because they've had them posted on the windshield of the car the whole time they've been building the car. And then the other thing is the people who call me are the people who ask questions. I mean, those people rarely fail tech, right? And I'm pretty available. I'm not my deal with myself is to answer people within 24 hours. And I often, if it's a complex situation, I just send them my phone number and I say, hey, call me, because I could go back and forth on emails and texts for, forever, or I can just talk to someone for 10 minutes and explain the problem, go through it and get it fixed. So that's it. And that's also attention to detail. Someone's like, I can't really quite. And then they get a hold of me and they figure out their problems and they get it done.
Well,
So-
and it probably helps when they can articulately explain what it is they're doing. And, they're not trying to break a rule. They're
Right.
like, here it is. I read the rule. I understand the rule to mean this, but my specific car is a Corvette and is fiberglass and I need to know around it.
And there are cars like that. There's
Yeah.
so many cars. The good example is these guys who are now racing first generation Honda Insights. Yes, I own one. I talk about them all the time, but we won't go there. It's my daily driver. But they're an aluminum and carbon fiber car. There is the car has the only three big chunks of steel in the car, the crankshaft and the two front brake rotors. And those three pieces weigh less than 70 pounds. And that's all the steel in the car. End of sentence. Okay. So there's nowhere to weld a cage in, right? It's an aluminum unibody, a bonded aluminum unibody. And so you can't weld a cage in. So technically it's against the rules, right? I mean, cage has got to be welded in. You can't weld steel to aluminum, and so we have done it and we have figured out, and we've had now one has raced twice and two more are being built. And we figured out a way to do it and we let them race. So,
Well, and Chris, you can back me up on this. I think the first time we really conversed with John was when we were caging the S10. Because I don't think
before we even bought the S10, when we had that stupid idea of, we should put a boat on something. And Jay said, love it, but you got to talk to John. So we had a call with John and Jay and said, like, all right, what is the safe way to put a boat on a thing? And that's why we came up with using a pickup truck is better than, we actually had legit $500 E30 Miata sitting in Jeff's yard at the time. We're like, well, we could do one of those, but the truck made more sense from a safety
a
standpoint.
$500 Miata, that's something in the past.
it was
now.
actually
Right,
$250
yeah.
Miata at that point. So
I had a $300 Miata when I started. Yeah.
Me, I had a $500
back in
one
the
too.
day.
We all had
Yeah.
a $500
Yeah.
Miata
Yeah,
back in the
right.
day. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I got free Miatas. I mean,
You win.
no, I'm just
but-
serious. But I mean,
Yeah.
now a total POS not running
$5,000.
is $5,000. Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
holy crap.
Well, and I really wanted to talk about the one specific thing that we went back and forth and took lots of pictures and had lots of conversation about was we wanted the cage over the frame. You know, that's how you do a non-unibody car, and the frame rails on a Chevy S10 are way inboard.
They're 3 feet apart. Yeah, they're a foot from the edge of the truck. Yeah.
Yeah. So we built those outriggers and we took pictures of the inside and the outside. And I think, told us the design, or I don't know if Chris told you the design and you cleared it or one way or the other.
Yeah.
But I remember Chris pulling out the email on his phone and say, this is what we're going to do because this is what we've talked about. And I was like, great, like started cutting the cardboard and started like slicing up the plate steel.
Yeah,
design
CAD is really, really effective when it comes to building roll cages.
Oh yeah.
That design is still passing tech to this day, actually.
Yeah, and I actually tell people, because I don't have good pictures of the couple of S10s I did, because I don't. So if I took pictures of every cage I build, there'd be an entire planet of so I said, I think Three Pedal Mafia has one. Maybe you can get them to take pictures of how to do it. I think, has anyone ever called you and asked you how to do it? I mean, I think I've actually thrown you guys under the bus.
A couple people have asked us for it. Yeah. And we had, back when we still had it, we did.
Yeah.
Now the new owners have it, but it's the same design. We just transferred it to a new truck
Replicated it.
several
Right,
years
yeah,
ago
yeah.
and it still works great.
Yeah, no. I did. I mean, I do that to a lot of people. Unfortunately for them, I'm like, well, I know one of these got built and it's in Indianapolis, and these are the guys, and I have the number. Call them. Well, Lemons people are so nice. Everyone helps. So
I was on another podcast, and it was their first Lemons race, and they've done a lot of racing in other series, and they're like, I have never seen this level of community where people want you to be on the track. No one plays I Have a Secret. It was this complete mentality shift, to where people would come over and go, oh, no, let me help you out, blah, 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 blah. And he's used to not trusting his other competitors.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing that I get as head of tech is that, it's like they bring me a car for a cage and they're like, it's got an LS in it. I'm like, I can see it. I'm here working on the car, right?
It's not new either.
He says, don't bust us on that. And I'm like, dude, not my job. That LS is not a safety, yeah, right. When Mental sees this, he's going to be mental, but you're still going to pass tech, right? It's like that. And it was like, can you not tell anyone? I'm like, dude, because people have secret builds they don't want people to know about so they can have the big surprise. And I don't tell people. I'm sworn to secrecy. I have one here. I can't even talk about what kind of car it is.
I will unprompted absolutely endorse that, because I have seen some amazing stuff show up, and only after all the inspection, I've been talking with those guys for a couple months, want to make sure it was safe. It's incredible.
Right.
Yeah. He will not think anyone out.
Yeah. I will not think. If you say it's a secret build, I'll throw a cover over it and I'll tell, and people show up and I say, you can't talk about this. I mean, this is weird car sitting here. You can't talk about this. I'm sorry. Because people come to my shop to pick up their cars and stuff. And there's a
Ranchero bodied Porsche 928,
which is going to race in Lemons, but we won't go there. Whatever, a DAF 304 with a, aero motor, whatever, doesn't matter. But
sign me up for that one.
I didn't know Spank still had the DAF. No.
Yeah.
But a lot of people think that I'm also the judges and I'm gonna, bust their chops and not pass their car because it has quotes illegal stuff on it. Well, that's not my job. My job is to make sure it's safe and it gets out on the racetrack and no one gets hurt. And then it's the judges to, smack them down for the liars that they are.
And I don't know if it's happened to you. I'm sure it has. I've seen it happen to Dale where, Dale go, oh dude, yeah, this is not really safe. And they hand him a really expensive bottle of whiskey. You go, how safe is it now? Dale goes, it's still not safe. That goes to them. I'm unbribable.
Yeah, my verbiage to them is I'm unimpeachable. I'm the tech inspector. That goes to the judges, and I do that all the time.
You'll get it
worked
later.
as a judge, just so you know, on the West Coast. I have worked as a judge. So there you go. Move on.
Cool.
Go ahead, Chrissy, you're muted. I just don't want you to start talking.
I'm sorry. No, I didn't realize my my question was applied to me. When you've raced, what is your routine for prep? For prepping your car for the off season, and your routine to get ready for this when the season started again?
Benign neglect.
That's not a good answer. So can you come up with a different one for our listeners that would like to be able to do some prep for their?
Do as I
they
say,
won't.
not as do as I do. Kind of thing,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, here's the deal: is I live in the Central Valley of Northern California, and we don't have bad weather. We never have to change the water out of the radiator. We never have to worry about freezing. We don't have rain pouring into the car. We just we
just have forest fires, earthquakes, banana slugs.
So far, I know at least 15 Lemons cars burnt in the fires in California. Just FYI, my personal count. So anyway, what I always do is I change all of the fluids at the end of the season, every single one of them, because acids build up in them. And when the car is not being used, that stuff doesn't burn out, the moisture and everything. And so when the car is just sitting and all that gets in there and drops to the bottom, I do that. And then you really shouldn't let them sit on, if you are trying to save your race tires from the year before, and you can, there's the whole wrap. I don't know if you guys know this, it's actually real. If you have race tires and you're trying to save them for a while, you wrap them in saran wrap to keep the aromatic hydrocarbons from outgassing out of them and keep them soft and gooey. It actually works. I mean, people have said they've proven it. I believe it, sort of from an engineering point of view.
Like the pallet wrap, basically. It's the big, essentially thing of saran wrap.
Same thing you put people to a roof of a car with and hand them.
Yeah, right. That's what that stuff's for. Yeah, that's and generally clean it out. And when you start the season, I always tell the first thing you do when the beginning of the season, actually what I say before you start working on your car for any race, is get out your shop vac and vacuum out the car, because dust and everything gets in it. And
this is a great.
Loves that.
This is I do. We do it. It's
so
great
much
suggestion.
harder to work inside the car with all the stuff in there and
how about drive when you get into the race car?
Yeah.
And
first at speed lap and all that stuff.
We've literally vacuumed other cars in the paddock. There's one that was epic, but we've done that because we know that as soon as you drive your first lap, you're gonna be able to see because there's just stuff flying around.
Yeah,
great.
And I learned that the hard way after doing a bunch of welding and grinding in the car. And first time in an RX-7, first time I hit 100 miles per hour on the straight at Thunderhill, all that metal. Luckily, I was wearing contacts. All that metal blew up all through and got in my eyes. I had to pull off on the backside of the track and get my car towed in because I couldn't see. I mean, it happened. And believe you me, ever since then, I vacuum out the car before every race event and at the beginning of the season.
They make fun of us.
The other thing is just the off season is really short for me. I'm in California, working for Lemons and all this. So, I mean, a race happened today. It's there's always events happening at the tracks around here. They don't close. The Thunderhill is rented 337 days a year.
Wow.
Sonoma's rented 310 days a year. Button Willow's rented 310 days a year. There's no off season, right? There's over here. So it's not, I mean, I hate to say it, I'm not copping out, but I'm not from the, well, I might be, but I'm not from the Great White North. And I don't even understand. I mean, I don't even have to worry. I mean, I actually cracked a block in the vehicle I had in Nova Scotia because I was a stupid Californian and I never checked to see it had enough coolant in it, right? But that's it. Cleanliness, and I go back to what I said before, the cleanliness inside the car is really, really, really important.
We get made fun of by our teammates because we wash the car inside and out between every race to get it all that crap out. And everyone's like, this is too clean. Why do you do that?
And the other thing I do, every single race car, once I learned the art, the behind the scenes of racing, is every single race car of mine gets painted a relatively light. I actually use Rust-Oleum Battleship Gray, a light gray color that allows you to see leaks, oil, stuff. You don't want flat black. I paint the whole car, the inside of it, one color, and gloss, or semi-gloss, not gloss. And so you can see, and it cleans easily, and you can check everything out. And that sounds like it's trivial, but it's not, because all the different color, if you have a black roll cage and this and that, and things get lost in the color differences, you can't see the black wire going down. Maybe it's because I'm colorblind. And that's why I use the gray. White is too light, black is too dark. I use a medium gray. All my colors, I can always see one of my old race cars because it's medium gray inside. No one's ever repainted. So
Chrissy painted the Mazda 3 like striking white.
Well, because it was already
Cage
white.
and everything. Well, because
Yeah.
it was a
The
body
car
in
was already
white.
white.
But and then people were like, "Oh, that's going to be horrible." Perfectly fine.
It's
I
great.
love the white. Yeah, it's
the
very
black,
clean.
the people who think painting the inside of your car black is going to, help you, it really doesn't. It truly, truly, truly doesn't. And there's no real such thing as being cold in a race car, even below freezing. And I've raced below freezing. I've ice raced.
But Barber and there are some races.
Atlanta.
Road
when
Atlanta.
When it's actively snowing on me and I'm wet. That's
right. When
But
you're
that
very
was
wet and
while
you're
sitting
Yeah,
while
I guess
sitting
if
in the
you're
paddock.
soaking wet, you can see it. But I mean, there's still so much heat coming off the car, and you have a driver suit on, and you're working out.
yeah.
I mean, yes, I've been cold in the car when I've been like on a black flag or a red flag on track
There it
during
is.
the 25-hour.
Gritted up.
Sure.
Yes. Yes.
It's when
Yeah,
I got
but
out that I was cold.
Never driving in
Oh,
anger.
I think
Have I been
The
cold?
worst conditions that you guys are talking about, it's cloudy anyway, so it doesn't matter if it's black inside, it's still not going to get warm.
no,
Exactly.
right. That you to get back to your point. Yes. There have been times
right.
we've been
Right.
stupid cold when the rain and water is coming into your car and is actively, no matter you're still
you're
working, but you're still cold.
Take the wet line, not the ice line.
I'll ask you guys this. There's a lot of people who swear by at the end of the season or at the beginning of the season before they race, they get a professional oil analysis. I've never done that. I've never had that done. And I'm wondering, there's some people who swear by it. It's what is it, $40-$50 to get it done or something like that?
$28.
28. Yeah.
Chris,
do
you do it for your
that? Because I've never
dailies.
done
You
it,
don't-
and a lot of people swear by it.
Yeah, I should answer this one because I think I'm the only one that's ever actually done it. I do it regularly on most of the cars, most of the time on the street cars, to figure out what the oil change interval should be. Like,
Right.
can I stretch this oil change interval? Not just 5,000. Like when the Mazda, when it was a street car, we went up to 9 or 10,000 regularly on synthetic oil, and the samples kept coming back. Yeah, it looks great, no problem. Like that's a fine time to change it. So we did it from that perspective. From the race cars, I do like to do them once a year just to see if anything interesting is going on that I can't see. Because it's $28. Okay. And
Have you caught something? Have you said, okay, there's a lot of heavy metals in it from the bearings. We probably have an engine going. And did you pull an engine because of it?
I have not, but we also tend to overchange our oil and use good quality oil and have an oil cooler and really try to keep our oil system healthy. The one time that I made sure doing every single change is in the AMG Mercedes that I sold to Mental, a car that has a habit of popping the cap off of one of the head bolts and having a very mild head gasket leak, resulting in major expensive damage. So I did it every single time just to make sure that wasn't coming.
Yeah.
It didn't. I eventually fixed the problem by replacing the head bolts and sold it to Mental, but that was also a value proposition with that car of, if you have a long history of oil analysis and everything works great, the car's worth more to the kind of person that wants that kind of car. So,
And that car
you
has
didn't
100
replace
and
all of the head bolts but one.
no, I did I did every single head bolt.
No, you should have done all of them but one
but
and told
one?
Mental to guess which one it was.
Well, they do
Take
look
care of
different,
it.
but that would make him take it, open it up, unfortunately.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, it's Mental.
It wouldn't have
did-
happened.
he did sell me, because the car came with a limited set of wheels, and one of the lips is polished.
It's
Right.
Those are so hard to find. That was the best I could do to get that width. All right, John, I have another question for you.
Sure.
what are 2 non-required updates that you think everyone should consider this winter? They aren't in the rule book, but those are a good idea.
That's a good one. There's no update. For me, that would be a safety update.
Yeah. Like, I'm thinking maybe it's something like, is a containment seat a worthwhile idea, or any kind of netting, or any
containment
specific
seats are a mixed bag, because on smaller cars like Miatas, it makes it so you can't get out of the car because the window opening is so small. The super containment seats, you end up having and you can't get out, right? I mean, I like containment seats. I don't think you're already wearing a Hans device and can't turn your head that well. I think containment seats are great. Mirrors are good. We only require some rear view mirrors. So I'd say an updated that if you have less than 3 rear view mirrors, I would add that. What else?
While you're thinking, we have had several teams be very successful with camera rear view mirrors. You know, setting up multiple cameras, you know, and basically replace, because the rear view mirrors, the wink mirrors and some of the pano mirrors can't see past the cages.
Right. I agree with that, but then I have a guy looking down, or it depends on where they put it, and is paying attention to their rear view mirror instead of what's in front of them.
Yeah. The best
And I'm
install
a
I
little
saw,
worried about that.
best install I saw was they put it at the header of the windshield where you would normally look for a mirror anyway. They 3D printed a thing to hold several screens.
Yeah.
All
right there. I think that was the best of one of those I've seen.
Right. And I will say that I don't like wink mirrors. I don't think my brain is strong enough to tell me that when I see 5 cars in a wink mirror, it's only 1 car.
Yeah, the pano mirrors.
They're coming for me, man. They're coming for me. Yeah.
Yeah, we are fans of the pano mirror, the panoramic mirror.
That's what I use. I use the panoramic. The wink mirror freaks me out. It looks like there's 17 cars behind me when there's 1, and I'm not strong enough mentally to filter that out.
Drive faster. They're catching me.
I think 10 years ago, the panoramic mirrors were a lot more expensive than the wink mirrors.
Yeah.
But they're dirt cheap now.
They're
the
super
panoramics.
Cheap. Yeah. They're also cheaply made. I was going through a panoramic mirror a year, I
would do it just because.
Crap,
Right. Or does somebody slam their head into it? Or I would just hit it.
See the blood?
Oh,
right. Sorry.
Yes. I mean, that's what happened.
Yeah,
absolutely. We were
definitely
also
had that happen in a fast driver change.
Oh yeah.
Person who came in the passenger side for the belts.
Yep. Right. Somebody hits their head, and then all of a sudden somebody that drives away says, there's no mirror. There's mirrors gone. We've done that.
So the one thing I would say on updates is the location of the kill switch inside the car that the drivers have to be able to reach while they're buckled in. The location of that is up to interpretation by various different sanctioning bodies. We only say it has to be reachable by the driver inside the car, and you don't need it. You can have an external one, but you don't need an external one. I think that it's possible in the future that the location of the kill switch is going to probably be fixed, because we don't want people looking for them. And it's an easy and relatively inexpensive thing to do. And for example, I think, was it Lucky Dog? It's got to be in the middle of the car. I think so. And then some, it's got to be on the left. And I think there's going to be a coming together. And if I had my druthers, every single kill switch would be on the left at the base of the A pillar, except on right-hand drive cars. And then the right-hand drive car would have to have a notation that it's a right-hand drive car, so they know which side to come up to it. But I would locate a switch on any car I built there. And I would recommend doing that if you want to call that an update. It's not written in the rules. This is not a rule change. I am just saying that there's problems being caused because of the different locations required by different.
Somebody's calling him with a
We want the
technical
cars to be
question.
used in all the sanctioning bodies. We don't want people to have to build and change stuff around. We want everyone to be able to. The name of your show is Everyone Racers, right?
Yeah,
we
yeah.
want everyone to be able to race, and we think we should probably find a good place to mount the switch and call it Everyone Does It Then.
Yeah, this actually goes right into the questions that I was crafting, and I'm going to jump in here. Is, and I kind of wrote it two different ways. One of them was, was the theory when you're deciding, and I think we just heard it right there about deciding some of these like more specific things like switch placement, and I was going to say, hey, is there anything new coming that you can tell us about? But I think it's more interesting because there are things that are required by some of the other series that we don't require in Lemons: rain lights, center nets, window nets, fire nozzles, pulls, all of these kinds of things, float from series to series. Is there an overarching reason that you're picking one over the other? Because this is maybe more of a beginner series, are you going for simplicity sometimes? Do you think our cars are different, so center nets are less important, or window nets, or containment seats? Is there an overarching theory that you use when deciding these things?
I would say safety is the overarching, and there are some things that are some people just absolutely swear by, and there's not a lot of good data behind them. Window nets
Data
are one.
driven.
Center window nets are another, and our speeds aren't that high. They're getting higher, but I like the idea of people getting out of a car. I think that's important. So if you want to call me, so once you start hanging window nets and center nets, and you already have people hooked into cool suits and radios and Hans devices, pretty soon, and to be honest, we have a pretty old clientele, right? I mean, we have people who, and an old fart like me who's 6'4" is going to have a hard time getting out of a small car with all that stuff. And you start throwing all that stuff at them, and your exit time goes to a minute, right? And that's not fast enough. So there's a lot of stuff like that. You have to decide where your problems lie and work at those problems from that perspective, if that makes sense. In other words,
it makes a lot of sense.
We have to see what do we think is going to happen, what has happened, and where is it? How many times has a window net on the side of the car stopped another car from coming through the window, or some, and all this stuff, and everyone gives, well, there's the one outlier where this thing came through the car and the guy got hurt, and whatever, it was a spear chucked from the or whatever.
Don't wheel me,
I'm
bro.
joking,
Don't
but
wheel me.
Yeah, those kind of things are rare, but we need people to be able to get out of the cars. And there's lots of stuff we have to do, and so yes, and we also don't want to burden the competitors with unnecessary expensive safety equipment, right? And that's not that the cost benefit ratio is just not there at all.
Yeah. I have raced in a lot of really rainy, hard to see, snowy Lemons races, and some of the other places are using rain lights, and I was like, oh, rain light, maybe I'll get a rain light. And then I priced them, and I was like, holy cow, a rain light is really expensive. Rain tail lights
on.
Yeah, tail lights.
If it came down to that, I tell everyone I recommend that your taillights work on your car, first of all, because if it gets signed to those kind of conditions, they're safe. We don't require them by rule, but yeah, if you're racing in conditions, and we've had 2 fog stoppages for the first time in 15 years in the last 2 race weekends, right? And you'd be able to go earlier and go later if you had taillights on your car, right? And we would do that, and so I could see definitely a kind of thing where while we don't require them, if this happens again and the fog is meh, and the corner workers are saying, we can see if they have taillights on them, I'm going to let the cars with taillights go, and the guys without them are going to sit in the back.
This is funny. This is a pet peeve that I see all the time. This is just like me. I see people come in who have removed their taillights and added a single like trailer light in the center, brake light, center and high, because the rules say you have to have one tail light. And I always say, you're an idiot, because if you just leave the tail lights you have, if something goes wrong, you still have one.
Right, exactly.
Now you have removed
I saved 8 ounces. 8 ounces is gone.
But they
We had-
interpreted
But
the
I had-
rule.
I had
We had 2
12
cars.
16-ounce beers last
Yeah.
night. So.
We had 2 cars at Sonoma with one brake light. That brake light stopped working. They gave up laps.
Yeah, just leave your taillights in, everybody. They
Yeah,
work great.
I tell people that all the time, and also put them where people expect to see them. Every once in a while, a car comes through tech, and I said, "Well, they hit a brake light." And like, the brake light's on. I was like, "I don't see it." And then it's like up in the left-hand right corner of the car, there's one brake light, and
Yeah, my brain did not decide that was a brake light.
right, and that means that normal people driving behind you are unlikely to see it as well. So.
Yeah. I always scratch my head and think those guys are assholes when I see them removing perfectly good taillights for the one brake light. Like, that's just, boggles the mind.
Unless you have a 1958 Wartburg and you
Well,
cannot get another taillight.
Yes, that's a different
Or
story.
go
I
buy
mean,
the trailer
buy
lights
2.
at Harbor Freight come in a pack of 2. And,
Yeah.
For
and
like
just bolt them into
$10.
bolt them
Yeah.
into the holes where your taillights were.
But
Right.
that's what we did with the boat, because obviously a boat does not have taillights. We ran 2 trailer lights on the corners where they belong, like right above the bumper, because that's where taillights belong. And having 2 is an extra redundancy to make sure you don't get Tom Lamino'd up the tailpipe.
Yeah.
Cool.
He's listening right now going, that bastard.
I don't think he listens, but
No.
No,
5
He
other
wouldn't be
people
upset.
that might.
They're all
funny.
going to make fun of him for it.
Mhm.
They all get the joke. Now,
Okay.
normally, as we get to this point, we have all of our listeners, pimp their social media. Oh, you can totally find me on the IG at like awesome John Pagel. But people, you are responsive. You do communicate. What is the best way? There is, of course, the famous Facebook group, unless John Pagel signs off on it, it's a bad idea. And the slightly less famous, even if John Pagel signs off on this, it's still probably a bad idea. But what's the best way to get a hold of you?
My Lemons email, Pagel at 24hoursoflemons.com.
And we
Can
will
you
have that
spell
linked.
for the
We will
people?
have it linked in the show notes.
Yeah, Pagel at 24hours 24 HOURSOFLEMNOS.com.
And it is on the website as well.
Yeah, it is on the website. If you, it basically, there's a big button that says, if you have tech questions, press here. And that's my email.
Great.
That's why people have a hard time with it. It's
Right.
not the
Yeah.
whole page. I
Right.
don't know what to do.
Where
Right,
do
yeah,
I
right.
quit?
Yeah. I mean, the email is actually spelled out there too, but there is I think it's a yellow button that just says push here for tech questions. And that
I did
that
not
comes to
see
me.
the button. I don't know.
Can I
Right.
have a bolt-in cage though?
Yeah,
On
right.
my,
you
on my
can.
fiberglass dirt track car.
Chrissy,
Yeah, I got a dirt
you
track
can
car.
have a bolt-in cage. You just can't race with us. Sorry.
Okay, great.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
Done.
Good answer.
Good answer. Good with it.
Literally just this week, somebody asked in the forums, I'm thinking about buying this Circle Trek car. And like 37 people were like, no. And you were like the 35th. So
All right.
not a great idea.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
What's left?
All
Anything
right.
else?
I gotta go away for 1 minute, you guys. I'll be right back.
Oh, that's
Perfect.
okay, because we're going to move on to
Okay.
the next section.
It's just the tip.
John's got to walk his cat.
Which is so cute.
All right. What do we do? Chrissy, you do the intro, and then we'll talk about it.
Sure. We're doing all of these are a bunch of random holiday tips that I think will be helpful to you especially if you're traveling, but really they're all just good tips. Let's go.
All right. So holiday driving, safety tip number 1, distracted driving. Distracted driving is a problem all the time, but it's definitely a problem during the holiday season. There's increased traffic. Not everybody's going the same way. People are taking routes they haven't taken in the past. You've got your family in the car. Somebody's still wrapping a present. The turkey is falling out of the back seat.
All of these
Look.
things.
Pay attention to where you're driving. If your car is filled with screaming kids, tell them to shut up.
I
Don't-
actively
don't
swerved out of the
text.
way of someone left of center yesterday.
Literally, like
in the
should
Suburban.
have
Like, if
taken
they-
us out in the
Their Nissan
Suburban.
Rogue hit the Suburban, it would have just bounced off. But still,
Well, we would have had a broken headlight or something,
Yeah.
but still,
Yeah.
it was bad.
Good.
And
People are crazy.
this goes without
Next.
saying, because I'm probably talking to a lot of racers. You have to have a wide field of vision. You have to drive defensively, know your bubble, stay alert, focus on the big picture, scan, think about where the problem is, not just look at the bumper of the guy in front of you. It happened to me just the other day. I saw someone making the left turn, and I saw the movement of his wheels and the turn, they were already turned, and I saw the wheels start to move, and I hit the brakes before he moved, and damn it, didn't he make a left turn in front of me, and I saw it before he even moved. So yeah, scan, find.
Mhm.
I'm not
Hey,
saying that
go-
to say I'm cool. I'm saying race car people probably do this, but everybody
Or
should be doing it.
or turn it on high alert. And Pagel
Yeah,
is
sure.
praising you as what
Yeah.
what was happening
Yeah.
on the non people that are people that are
No,
on.
So the one thing I will say is if it gets nasty, don't fucking go. I'm sorry, but here in California, everyone heads to the mountains, and we have a huge storm, right? While I'm talking to you, the rain is coming down out here at an inch an hour. Yes, I'm in California. I always claim it's great weather. Just ignore that. And that means in the Sierra, it's going to be 80 inches of snow. And I will guarantee you on the national news, there will be pileups going up to Lake Tahoe for all the people for Christmas. And, because everyone thinks their four-wheel drive is invincible. It's not. You're still on 4 pieces of freezing cold rubber ice hockey pucks in cold weather. And if it's that bad, don't go. Stay home and drink beer. Okay.
So avoid
Or
Donner
wine.
Pass this weekend. That's
Pardon me?
really avoid Donner Pass this weekend. That's really the motto.
Yeah. You know what happened there. You don't want to
Right.
get eaten, right? So.
Okay, got it.
I don't know.
Now, the other thing, and this is directly pointed at our audience, is we consider ourselves a tough lot, and we're known for staying up late and getting up early and not sleeping much on the weekends. If you're going to be doing these drives, get enough sleep. You're already altering your schedule. You're getting up earlier, you're driving later, and you're not superhuman, especially in the Midwest where the roads just drone on and on and on and on. And just caffeine is not a substitute. You're already eating garbage. You're putting in a bunch of carbs. If you're getting stuff at the drive-through, it's going to make you sleepy, and that's going to reduce your reaction time. Just get a good night's sleep as much as you possibly can. And when you are tired, pull over.
Hand the wheel off. Hand the wheel off to your other driver. You're usually not driving by yourself, so.
Yeah.
Yep. And I'm amazed I have to say this when it's almost 2022. Don't drink and drive, kids. Really?
Simple.
It's terrible. It's stupid. There's probably DUI checkpoints. You don't want to kill other people. Just don't do that. That's
Yeah.
that's
I
that's
actually,
simple.
we're having Christmas here, and I have a blow meter. And if I think I'm,
Oh, that's
Oh,
fancy.
That's excellent.
Well,
So yeah.
I
So
don't-
everyone at Pagel's
the
house
people who are
blows.
coming here are the people I love. I don't want them.
Yeah.
I don't want them to get hurt on the way
Or
home.
just keep them here. So that's what we're doing for my parents. We set up a
right, yeah.
bedroom and say just stay here, just because there's
Yeah.
no reason to go home. Or
Exactly.
if you want to hang out, just stay and give options and have a bed that can blow up, or
Give them
sleep in the
more drinks and
basement
they'll
or
just
whatever.
Pass out wherever they are, and they don't.
Sure, couches are great,
Yeah.
whatever. All right, lastly, we're going to talk about keep your vehicle well maintained. Make sure your obviously tires, make sure they're all good. You're not using summer tires in the winter weather.
I don't know. Some of these Southern California people, they might be on
I
summer
suppose.
tires.
I don't,
Okay.
I
Driving
don't
up
own
to
any
the-
winter tires.
Southern
Okay.
Nevada. I just talked about how I put high performance summer.
Well, consider the tires you're driving for where the weather is where you're driving. So if you're going to only stay in the warm, don't drive with winter tires or summer tires. Also, it's like if you're going somewhere, especially if you're in the East Coast, make sure you carry that emergency kit. We talked about this at least once a year. Flashlight, jumper cables, easy things, blankets, basic tools, maybe even some water. Make sure that people know where you're going. Things can happen on the road, especially there could be loss of cell reception. You never know what's going to happen on the road. Just make sure if you have to be in an emergency situation in your car, you are have a little bit of things around you. And
probably everyone on listening to this podcast has jumper cables and uses them all the freaking time for the pieces of crap that are laying around their yard. Make sure they're actually in the car and not in the garage.
Or get another set.
I have like 9 sets.
Well, make sure a set is in your car.
First time in my life, I threw away, recycled actually, a set of jumper cables today because I have so many. And it was this really crappy, rusty one that didn't have great connection. And I've been trying to use it to start a car. And I got my other one and it started right up. And I'm like, I just
not going.
Recycling.
Yep.
I have the jump pack now. They're amazing. I use that for
they're
the little lithium ion ones.
Little lithium ions, absolutely.
They're hella sweet, to use a phrase.
Excellent.
Well, this has been a hell of a show, a hell of a sweet show. Do we have any idea what we're doing next week?
I think we're doing one of Mental's favorites. It's the New Year's goal episode.
Chrissy's with me on that one. I know for the Thanksgiving episode, it's all the hippie, but Chrissy's down with the New Year's goals.
I love the New Year's goals.
We're going to score and tally how we did last year, lay out our ideas for next year. It's your 4 cold, hard tires meet the road here. Let's see what happens.
We were in the depths of COVID last year, so I don't have a clue what I thought we would be able to
Probably didn't do much.
Yeah.
Hey, John, thanks for being with us.
Yeah,
this
John,
is awesome sauce.
And hey, anytime you guys, this is I love getting information out to help people. And I mean, I'll be on anytime you guys want, I'll be on the show. Mental, send me your email address so I can send you the videos. Do you have a Lemons email address, Mental, yet?
Mental at 24hoursoflemons.com.
Okay, well, I'll send me a reminder after I get off this. I got a couple things to do. I have to check if the hot tub's still hot or not, and that may take a while. So
yeah, I understand.
Exactly. No, that's important.
Yeah.
Hey,
but
John,
anyway, I got to get that to you. So
if there is any updates or rule package updates or safety updates or anything that's going on that you want us to cover or come on and cover, just drop us an email because we are talking to the Lemons audience. So we'll shout it out at any time because you're awesome and we love safety.
One more possible update. It just came to me. Sorry, I know you want to run
away,
but
pause the music. Pause the music.
An exclusive. Everyone Racers exclusive.
So don't take this to the bank, but we are understanding that the reinforced fuel filler hose that everyone hates having to pay a lot of money for is getting really hard to get. And I am trying to wrap my head around not requiring it and allowing the clear hose. But I have to prove to myself and prove to Jay that we can do that. So I am working on that, and that is a possible, almost probable change in our rules that could happen any day.
You heard it here first.
Or just leave your stock fuel system.
But until it happens, it doesn't happen. I mean, you just got to understand that. But we understand that our rule and the strength of the modern it's a long story, but this is how deep I have to get into this kind of stuff. Ask me about electric cars sometime. Oh my. Anyway,
actually,
we might question.
We might have you back for an entire episode if electric cars get close, because we spoke about the EVR SA. We talked to Jay about the $10,000.
We talked to John at PRI.
Yeah, we talked. Oh, sorry. I mean Mental. Sorry.
No, absolutely. We love talking to electric cars, so we definitely will need to do a whole show on that.
I could arrange. John Lane is my volunteer who's an expert on electric cars who maintains my database of all of the stuff electric cars.
Can we put a pin in this? Because I want to hear it, but I feel like our listeners are like,
we're running out of time. Whatever.
But
we'll email you offline.
No, play the music, stay online. We'll have this conversation now.
Okay.
Wait, my music turned off. Okay.
Devin's like, oh,
Anyway.
now I got to get it back. Oh,
Oh,
no.
it's here. It's here. I just got to bring the volume up. Come on,
Uh-huh.
where are you? Come on, volume. There we go.
Working great.
Anyway, thanks for
Now the
downloading
sausage
us.
is made, folks.
Thanks,
Yep.
John, for joining us. Sounds like we have things to talk about after the credits, but we hope you enjoyed this week's edition of Everyone Racers. We hope you join us in the world of driving, racing, and building, because everyone can be a racer, even you. If you enjoyed this podcast, subscribe. It's totally free. Then go to YouTube, smash that like button, smash the subscribe button, hit the
or
bell.
click, or just click.
Thanks.
Click is good.
Talk to us in the doodly-doo right down there. We'll talk back to you if you have any comments or show ideas. Drop a line on our Facebook page. Email us at everyone.racers@gmail.com. You can text Mental. He's looking at his phone right now. 484
Lots of junk picks this week. It was pretty cool.
Oh, 484-243-0455. Find us on Instagram or Twitter at everyone.racers, YouTube and Facebook, Everyone Racers, Reddit at /E1R. Videos are posted there. Thanks again, and until next week, keep the shiny side up. Unless you painted it black and put only one brake light on it, then you're an idiot. And just try and keep those wheels down.